This is a CDP that applies to all 9 phases. We want to be careful that whatever we adopt for a standard today is applicable to phase 1 and phase 9 when somebody's developing. Phase 1 is a distant memory. It's already underway. So that's why a lot of the stuff in the CDP is designed the way it is. Okay, we had some concerns about direct access to West Morganton Road. There are some phases up here, phase 3, phase 4, and phase 9 that we wanted to make sure wouldn't come in, and maybe rather than building this road or in order to provide convenience, they might access directly off of West Morganton. So we have a condition in there that this be added to Exhibit 9 and CDP Section 7.0 to restrict, limit, and restrict direct access to West Morganton. We have a condition worked in there that the CDP be revised following approval. This would be a condition of approval that the CDP be modified and then a final copy submitted to staff that would go on the shelves. That's what these conditions are doing. They're basically saying change it the following way, change it the following way, change it the following way. That full movement intersections along the Pine Ridge Parkway Spine Road, let me try to zoom in here a little bit. Full movement intersections be limited. Right here they're showing a lot of remember Pine Ridge Parkway, we want people to be able to get through here relatively quickly. We don't want this to be, our town has learned some lessons from Brucewood with a lot of full movement intersections going back and forth, a lot of conflict points. So we have a recommendation for a condition that full movement intersections be limited to 2 intersections only, that being the intersection with Old Morganton Road, which is right here, and that being the intersection with Southern Road right here, and all other driveways accessing off of Pine Ridge Parkway, the default design be a right-in, right-out only. But at each PDP application, pursuant to a traffic impact analysis, they can request full movement and it can be reviewed. We have a condition to modify the 75-foot cross-section that is in this exhibit. This is the 75-foot cross-section that would go right here where this red is. And this is because they're providing an important design amenity right here. They're protecting the Kenneth Black Family Cemetery and making an open space amenity out of it. But because it pushes the spine road over, the right-of-way needs to shrink down a little bit to a 75-foot right-of-way. The 75-foot right-of-way, instead of having an 11-foot wide turn lane in the middle, which some people lovingly and endearingly refer to as the suicide lane, the town has recommended instead the cross-section be modified to show only raised medians, not turn lanes in there instead of the aforementioned suicide lane. That would be a modification to Exhibit 10. We have some modifications to the amenities worked in here. The modifications to the amenities would be that the park amenities table in Section 5.5.2 of the Conceptual Development Plan be modified to add shade-providing pergola structures. Right now, there is not a requirement for any of these shade-providing pergola structures. The applicant would like to do this in phase 1, but it's not in the CDP. We would like to see a design consistency across phases 2 through 9 along Pine Ridge Parkway. The way design amenities work is if a phase, let's go back to that diagram right there. Let's say the phase 8, this is phase 8 right here. Let's say the phase 8 PDP comes in. If they're required to do a certain chunk of linear park in front of their development, between the edge of the right-of-way and their development, they're responsible for providing the minimum amenities that are in the amenity table. So we went ahead and put recommended a condition that they have a requirement in there for benches every 300 feet on average. We recommended a condition that shade-providing pergolas on those benches in sort of a standard municipal appearance and design. We don't dictate design, but those shade-providing pergolas would be provided at a rate of at least every other bench, so 1 to 600 on average. We have a requirement that the landscaping table in Section 5.5.2 of the CDP be modified to require 1 tree per 2,000 square feet, not exceeding a spacing of 50 linear feet for large trees and small trees. Because right now, the large trees within the linear park we think are a little bit light. They don't meet the minimum of the landscaping code. And we wanted to make sure that we got a certain number of trees in there. Because 1 per 2,000, depending upon how wide the linear park is, that's 2,000 square feet. So in certain areas, it spreads it out. If the linear park is only 20 feet deep, then that's only 1 every 100 feet. You see what I'm saying? So we wanted to tighten it up so that at minimum it's 1 per every 50 feet in the linear park. So that's why that's written that way. Landscaping table in section 5.5.2 of the CDP be modified to require shrubs at a rate of 1 shrub per 3 linear feet adjoining areas of hardscape park amenities. That's consistent with our UDO. We have a requirement that shrubs be provided around hardscaped areas adjacent to parking areas, so we wanted to see that in there. The development agreement, number 7 is that the development agreement include provision reflecting the developer's commitment to maintain vegetated medians along the Parkway Collector Road. This Parkway Collector Road, or otherwise known as Pine Ridge Parkway that runs right through here, one of the challenges we have is that the main 91-foot right-of-way has a 12-foot median in the middle. The developer was very interested in those medians being vegetated, but the town has a real concern about the cost of the long-term cost of maintaining and irrigating those medians. This came up at the planning board, and the applicant, to their credit, said, you know what, these are an important design feature for us, for our purposes. We'll go ahead and agree to maintain those long-term, and so that's going to be worked into the development agreement, which is a long-term binding contract allowed under North Carolina law. I almost said Montana law right there, sorry. All right, that's section 5.5.4 of the CDP be modified to require a buffer of no less than 20 feet in width around the perimeter of Morganton Park South in place of the default buffers required in UDO 4.3.4. And I think, one second. All right, so number 8, condition number 8 in the staff report, recommended condition number 8 in the staff report, on page 16 of the staff report is the same as the handout I'm about to give you, condition 10. I didn't realize when I was drafting up the additional conditions that the buffer requirement of 20 feet, I'd worked it in there because the handout, the applicant submitted a revised buffer language for section 5.5.4 just a couple of days ago, because that was like 2 weeks ago, but I had to have the staff report out much earlier than that. So condition 8 and condition 10 that I'm about to give you are actually the same. They deal with the same thing, so I apologize for that. So not 11 conditions, only 10. Poof, right? Man, brutal. Right.